Okay, this video will be the second video covering pedigrees. Hopefully you watched the first video that reviewed the important parts of a pedigree, how to read a pedigree, and it included an example of a recessive pedigree. Right now you can see on the screen, this part is going to talk about and review dominant pedigrees. Okay, so in a dominant pedigree, you shade the dominant trait. So individuals who show the dominant trait are shaded, which is different from a recessive pedigree because with a recessive pedigree, you shade the individuals that show the recessive trait. So just like a recessive pedigree, you still start off with a key. In this case, long eyelashes are dominant to short eyelashes. You would draw out your pedigree, including generation numbers and individual numbers. Make sure you note there was a little mistake on the previous video that for the third generation, this person had the individual number 5. They should have been individual number 1 like you see here. And then you follow the similar steps for a dominant pedigree as a recessive pedigree. All the unshaded individuals now get 2 lowercase letters because they show the recessive condition. All the shaded individuals get a uppercase letter and a blank because we know they show the dominant trait. And then you go through and you try and fill in the blanks by asking yourself, do you know the parents? Do you know the kids? Do either the parents or the kids have 2 lowercase letters? If they do, then you can fill in that second letter. If you don't know the parents, or if the kid don't have 2 little a's, then you would leave that second allele blank. Okay, so this would be a finished dominant pedigree. Alright, today after taking notes on pedigrees, you're going to work in your lab teams to finish the pedigree lab, which is pages 1 through 4 in your pedigree packet. Make sure you put a box around the key at the top of the page. The first 4 pages, which is the pedigree lab, these are practicing all recessive pedigrees. So anybody who is shaded shows the recessive trait. This first part 1, you're going to use your pedigree notes that we just took. Part 2 uses this pedigree to answer these questions. On page 2, this pedigree goes with these questions. Part 3 is just reviewing the steps and how to figure out what to fill in the blanks. There's really nothing to do here in this section. Just read it, check it off, make sure you know what you're doing, and then you go through and actually try and fill in the genotypes with the blanks for number 21. On this page, you're trying to figure out which Punnett square would match with this pedigree. For the analysis questions, now you're going to draw a family pedigree. This is like a checklist, right? Notice the check mark, so you need to make sure you include all of these things in your pedigree below. On the last page, I would suggest that you rewrite your key from the front page. These are 3 separate families, all recessive pedigrees, so anybody who is shaded has attached earlobes. Down here at the bottom, we have a 4th family. You're using this pedigree to answer these questions at the bottom of the page. The last thing you're going to do today is now you're going to do the Brady bunch pedigree on pages 7 and 8 in your packet. This is going to be an example of a dominant pedigree. So now the individuals that you're shading in show the dominant trait. In this case, they have Brady curls. Make sure you put a box around the key. Also make sure you highlight the fact that Greg is homozygous dominant. This is really the only time you're going to be able to put 2 uppercase letters together on a pedigree. They specifically have to give you that information, and they do so in this paragraph. So Greg Brady, right here, should get 2 capital B's. That's the only time you're really ever going to do that, though. If you read through the problem, it tells you who each person marries and their kids' names. A lot of these are characters from really old TV shows, so I went through and labeled them boys and girls in case you were iffy. So like Greg Jr.'s a boy, Alice is a girl, Jan's a girl, Chachi's a boy. We've got Pebbles, Wilma, Betty, and Fred. If you're a fan of the Flintstones, you might remember them. Okay, so the G's are for girls and the B's are for boys in case you were confused by that. I would suggest that you Draw out this family pedigree on a separate sheet of notebook paper. Make it nice and big so you can see it. And then when you're done, you're going to flip to page 8 and you're going to answer the 5 questions on page 8. Okay, so in summary, you should have watched the first pedigree video that talked about recessive pedigrees. This video reviewed dominant pedigrees, and now you're going to practice one of each. The lab goes through recessive pedigrees, and the Brady Bunch pedigree is an example of a dominant pedigree. Have fun!